These videos are about awakening to the true nature of our situation. We have assumptions about our situation, about being an individual wandering around an external world. And we have a relationship with this external world. There's a relationship between this apparent individual and this apparent external world. And realizing the true nature of our situation is called enlightenment. And the previous verse 222, told us that this realization is accomplished in a dream. And I've often used dreams as a metaphor for understanding how consciousness works. In a dream, consciousness creates an external world. It creates an individual who may be you, or it may be you with some differences, or it might be somebody else altogether. How can it be you if it's got some differences? Maybe you've got a tail or something, or maybe you're of a different gender. Who knows? But that becomes you, and there's a world there. You'll have people in it that you interact with, other beings. Maybe some are strangers, some are friends, and so on. And this is how consciousness works. It creates this external world. It creates a notion of an individual wandering around and interacting with that external world. And this is what it does, whether we're awake or asleep. We've often heard the philosophical conundrum: how do we know that this is not a dream? This is just reinforcing the point that there is no difference. All of this is consciousness doing its thing. And I was looking at this book, which I mentioned last time, by Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche, on the Tibetan yogas of dream and sleep. There's some stuff in this which brings this into very clear focus. In the appendix, in the outline of dream yoga practices, we're told to, throughout the day, continuously remain in the awareness that all experience is a dream. Encounter all things as objects in a dream, all events as events in a dream, all people as people in a dream. Envision your own body as a transparent, illusory body. Imagine you are in a lucid dream during the entire day. Do not allow these reminders to be merely empty repetition. Each time you tell yourself this is a dream, actually become more lucid. Involve your body and your senses in becoming more present. Encounter all things that create desire and attachment as the illusory, empty, luminous phenomena of a dream. Recognize your reactions to phenomena as a dream. All emotions, judgments, and preferences are being dreamt up. You can be certain that you are doing this correctly if immediately upon remembering that your reaction is a dream, desire and attachment lessen. So it couldn't be more clear cut than that. This is the understanding. This is an understanding which we can move forward with. So I'm very enthusiastic about some of the insights presented in this book. But as I read it, I feel there's this compulsion to get involved in Tibetan Buddhism. In fact, Wangyal Rinpoche says near the beginning that you shouldn't just read this book. You should get the teaching directly from a teacher. And then he gives lots of practices you can do. Apparently when you're practicing dream yoga, men should sleep on their right side and women should sleep on their left side, because there's subtle channels carrying different kinds of prana that are arranged differently in men and women, and there's exercises involving visualizing Tibetan letters, and we hear all about the chakras and how they relate to the various realms of existence. So the hell realm relates to the chakras and the soles of the feet, and so on. So there's a whole sort of system of ideas that you should start getting into. And at one point, near the beginning, Wangyal Rinpoche tells us of a particular Lama that he admired, who achieved the body of light. This is what happens on death. And there's a glossary here which tells us about this body of light, the jhanas. It's called the rainbow body. The sign of full realization in Dzogchen is the attainment of the rainbow body. So the realized practitioner, no longer deluded by apparent substantiality or dualisms such as mind and matter, releases the energy of the elements that compose the physical body at the time of death. The body itself is dissolved, leaving only hair and nails, and the practitioner consciously enters death. So only the hair and nails are left behind. And Wangyal Rinpoche makes a very strong point. He tells us that if you cannot be aware during your dreams, then how can you possibly be aware at the point of death? So becoming aware in dreams is good practice for becoming aware at the point of death. So certain implications are being taken here. The understanding that all of this is a dream, rather than becoming established in this insight, is taken as a cue to produce what's called lucidity in dreams. This is when you know that you're dreaming. Now, some people have a natural talent for this, and that's great. But if you don't have a natural talent for it, then it's very hard work, and it can take up a lot of your time and effort. So the point I'm trying to get at here is, when you have this understanding that everything is of the nature of dream, what implications should we take from this? And Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche obviously takes certain implications. And it's difficult not to go along with them, because we get these amazing insights in Tibetan Buddhism. But there seems to be a great deal that we're supposed to take on faith, like belief in the rainbow body, belief in the lineage of the gurus, belief in the bardo state after death. So what's concerning me here is the connection between a system of belief and a clear expression of wisdom, of transcendental insight. I've said before, it's very difficult to get enlightened if you're Buddhist. And if you're a seeker looking for the truth, looking to get enlightened, then you could be seriously sidetracked from this possibility by becoming a Buddhist. And this is just as true of becoming a Tibetan Buddhist, because there are so many practices and things that you can get involved with. And of course you get involved in the understanding that this is going to lead you to enlightenment. But there's just so much stuff, even in this little book on the Tibetan yogas of dream and sleep. There are a great deal of practices. It needs to become your priority throughout the day, throughout the night. And I think it's a good thing to get into, but only if you're an enlightenment practitioner. Because what you're going to get caught up in here is developing lucidity in dreams, which is a very enticing prospect. It's quite a seductive prospect. But it would be missing the point. You'd be substituting enlightenment practice for something else. But again, you think, well, these lamas, these geishis are full of understanding and knowledge. Shouldn't we go along with them? Well, we have to look at the nature of enlightenment practice with belief. And enlightenment practice has got nothing to do with belief. Some teachers will go on about the benefits of enlightenment practice or spiritual practice, how it might make you a better person, how it will make you more tranquil, how it will make you more happy, and even how it might give you supernormal powers. There's all these possible promises. Some even base systems of therapy upon it. But all of this misses the point. All of this is a diversion from enlightenment practice. It's diluting our understanding about the true nature of our situation. It's once again focusing on the delusion. I was thinking as well, is there anything in conventional understanding which is reinforced by the truth? There's a whole genre of books begun by Fritjof Capra, who wrote the Tao of Physics, which purports to show a correlation between the wisdom of the East with modern scientific understanding, the understanding of modern physics. There seems to be a resonance between the two. And in fact, I've fallen for this myself in a way. I made a prediction a while back that those experiments that are being undertaken at the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland, France and Switzerland, I said that they're not going to find this Higgs boson because there isn't any such thing as matter. So they're not going to find a particle which is responsible for matter. So that seems logical. I've taken a certain understanding from insight into the reality of our situation and applied it. And we mustn't do this, really. I mean, who knows what the dream is going to produce? It might very well produce a Higgs boson. And I personally see no reason why we shouldn't levitate, because if there's no matter, how can there be gravity? And so on. So it's a little bit false of me to say that. Although it is a kind of feeling that I've got. But that's all. So the point I'm getting at here is we cannot take any conclusions from spiritual insight and apply them in the conventional context. I don't know if this is quite relevant, but it made me also think about mathematics. There's a certain understanding that mathematics is close to the truth because it's completely objective. It's something that people agree on, no matter what their culture and what their own belief systems. Mathematics is independent of belief. Mathematics explores abstract structures, patterns. Physics depends on it, and our technology depends on physics. And technology works. So surely mathematics is true. It's like a map. Science provides us with a map. And if a map gets you from one place to another, then surely that map reflects the reality of the situation. So it must be true. So shouldn't we be studying mathematics if we want to get close to the truth? Well, I'm a big fan of mathematics, and I think there should be a lot more studying of mathematics. I think it is one of the great human endeavours. But it's got nothing to do with spiritual truth. It's still part of the conventional understanding. It's still part of the dream. Even though we might logically argue that it's pointing us to the truth. But all that's taking place within the dream. All beliefs are taking place within the dream. So we shouldn't use our insight as the basis for supporting any notions that we've got. Because our insight is completely independent of all notions. This is the point. We must be very careful not to get sucked into the dream in the name of waking up from the dream. So in understanding that everything is of the nature of dream, we do not draw conclusions from this. We do not use this as a preference for following certain practices. We use it simply to reinforce our realization, to reinforce our enlightenment practice. Concern for the bardo state, which arises at the point of death, belongs to conventional understanding. It's not an anxiety that we need to subscribe to. So the point of realizing that everything is of the nature of a dream, this is the prelude to waking up. It means we've stepped back from the dream. We're no longer getting sucked into it. This is the true meaning of lucidity. There's another little book. I haven't read it yet, but it's perhaps a more helpful approach to take. It's called Awakening to the Dream by Leo Hartong, The Gift of Lucid Living. So I don't think he's got all this stuff in it about prana and chakras and all the rest of it. It's just very straight communication from fresh realization. The first chapter in particular relates to some of what I've been talking about, but I won't go into any more about that now. Just to sum up though, understanding that everything is of the nature of dream involves a shift in our relationship to what is happening. And it's a shift to clarity, a shift to insight, a shift to liberation.